Have you ever had the feeling that the modern world is collapsing, not with an explosion, but with a slow draining of meaning? If these themes resonate with you, subscribe to the channel. Here we don't seek distractions, but truth. Through the cracks of contemporary civilization, an ancient and unsettling question seeps in. Who wanted the destruction of Christian civilization? It is not a single event, nor a sudden blow. Rather, it has been a long erosion. A gradual fall, almost imperceptible, moving through the centuries like an underground current. At the beginning, everything seemed harmless. Man began to look at himself in the mirror with increasing interest. Humanism and the Renaissance celebrated human dignity, but slowly they shifted the center. No longer God, but man. No longer heaven as the ultimate reference, but the earth. No longer adoration, but self-contemplation. Then came the fracture. The so-called Protestant Reformation, more properly defined by some as a revolution, introduced a radical separation. Christ, yes, but without the church. A clean cut, as if one could preserve the source while rejecting the river. But when the church is abandoned, the risk is inevitable. Even Christ, slowly, dissolves. And indeed, history continues with almost ruthless coherence. The Enlightenment accepts God, but empties him. No longer a God who speaks, who reveals himself, who enters history. Only a distant, silent, useless principle. God, yes, but not Christ. And without Christ, even God becomes a fragile idea. The next step is inevitable. Modern atheism. There is no more God. There is no more absolute truth. Everything becomes opinion, construction, interpretation. But when God is eliminated, man is not set free, he is lost. Because without a transcendent foundation, human identity itself dissolves. And so we arrive at the present. A civilization that has lost the sense of man. A culture that constantly speaks of rights, but no longer knows what man is. A freedom that does not build, but consumes. A society that promises everything and leaves emptiness behind. Some thinkers have seen in this trajectory not only a spontaneous drift, but a deliberate will, the desire to replace Christian civilization with a new construction. A new temple, no longer a cathedral rising toward God, but a structure centered on man. No longer adoration, but self-assertion. No longer received truth, but created truth. The modern world does not always destroy openly. More often, it replaces. It changes meanings, alters symbols, empties words. It keeps the forms, but erases their content. And yet, stopping at denunciation is not enough. Because history is not only a story of, it is also a battlefield. The real question is not only who destroyed, but who can rebuild. And here the discourse becomes more uncomfortable, because the answer does not point to systems, institutions, or strategies. It points to man himself, to each one of us. A civilization cannot be restored if men are inwardly in ruins. Truth cannot be spoken if one lives in compromise. Light cannot be proclaimed if one is attached to darkness. The first battle is interior. Restoration begins in the heart, in personal conversion, in the struggle against one's own selfishness, illusions, and contradictions. This is not a romantic idea. It is a silent, daily, often invisible war. Only those who rebuild themselves can become builders. And the weapons, they are not new, nor spectacular. They are ancient, simple, forgotten. The rediscovery of truth, not as opinion, but as reality. Right reason, capable of recognizing what is. A realism that does not flee into relativism, but affirms being. It is the path of authentic philosophy, which does not invent the world but contemplates it. A wisdom that found luminous expression in the thought of St. Thomas Aquinas, where faith and reason do not oppose each other, but illuminate one another. In an age that runs, the answer is to slow down. In an age that shouts, the answer is to listen. In an age that builds illusions, the answer is to seek the real. It is not about going back out of nostalgia, but returning to truth out of necessity. Because without truth there is no freedom. Without freedom there is no love. And without love, everything empties out. Christian civilization was not perfect, but it had a center, and that center was not man. Today that center has been shifted, and everything wavers. So the question is not only historical, it is personal. Which side are you on? Because every daily choice, every thought, every action contributes either to building or to destroying. There is no neutrality. One either participates in dissolution or in reconstruction. And reconstruction does not begin with grand gestures, but with small acts of truth. In a world that has forgotten God, remembering Him is already a revolution. In a world that has lost man, finding Him again is already a victory. And perhaps, precisely in the ruins, something new can be born. Not because the world allows it, but because truth endures.